Welcome to Chapter 12 of the Construction Business and Law Manual for Nevada, Nevada Tax Laws. The state of Nevada has repealed NRS Chapter 364A, which had addressed a tax based on the average number of employees a company had on its payroll during each quarter of the year. This tax has been replaced with a modified business tax, NRS 363B and NAC 363B. Which is a quarterly payroll tax that is based on gross wages less employer-paid health care benefits. State business license. All businesses, corporations, and partnerships operating in Nevada are required to have a state business license issued by the Department of Taxation. Procedure for obtaining a state business license. All businesses doing business in Nevada must obtain a state business license as required by NRS 360.780. The procedure for obtaining a state business license is as follows. An application may be obtained by downloading one from the Department of Taxation website at http://tax.state.nv.us at mailing and mailing it in, or apply online at http://nevadatax.nv.gov or contact the Nevada Department of Taxation office nearest you. The application must be accompanied by the $500 license fee for corporations and $200 for all other business entity types when submitted. A signer's signature on an application is considered a sworn statement of his or her authority to sign on behalf of the entity being registered. Before any other license required by a state or local government agency or department will be issued, all businesses must be able to show proof of having a state business license or provide a signed certificate of compliance stating they have the license or are not subject to the requirement. All holders of a state business license must renew their business license on an annual basis. The renewal fee is $500 for corporations and $200 for all business entity types. Taxpayers who currently have a state business license shall pay the renewal fee based on their anniversary date. A person who fails to submit the annual fee required by the due date shall pay a penalty in the amount of $100 in addition to the annual fee. Businesses required to have a state business license must also be registered for use tax. https://tax.nv.gov/forms/use_tax_forms/ Subcontractor's business license. A general contractor cannot pay subcontractors unless the contractor has verified at the time the contractor's inception that all subcontractors have a state business license and have paid their last quarterly payment of the business tax. A subcontractor provides proof having a state business license and having paid the tax by presenting a receipt or other evidence, tax returns, canceled check, etc., showing the last quarterly payment was made. Providing proof of compliance occurs at the time the contractor and subcontractor enter into the initial agreement. Modified business tax. Every employer who is subject to Nevada Unemployment Compensation Law, NRS 612, shall be subject to pay the excise tax on wages as approved by the Nevada legislature in SB 8, NRS 363B. The tax is paid on total gross wages, less a qualified deduction for employee health insurance benefits paid by the employer. Total gross wages are the total amount of all gross wages and reported tips paid for a calendar quarter. There is no cap or limit on the amount of gross wages. These taxes cannot be deducted from employees' wages. Every person, corporation, partnership, or proprietorship that conducts an activity for profit in Nevada pays the tax quarterly. The only exempt companies are nonprofit organizations and government entities. Effective 7/1/2005, the rate for general employers is 0.63. tax for each calendar quarter is due on the last day of the quarter and is to be paid on or before the last day of the month following the quarter. For example, the tax return and remittance for October 1, 2008 through December 31st, 2008 was due on or before January 31st, 2009. This tax is paid to the Department of Taxation. Sales tax and use tax. The sales and use tax in Nevada is actually a combination of several distinct yet similar taxes such as sales tax, county tax, school tax, relief tax, etc. The state sales tax in Nevada is 6.85. Counties can assess option taxes as well. As of April 1st, 2017, the combined sales tax rate in Las Vegas is 8.25. The combined rate in Washoe County is 8.265. Rates are subject to change during the tenure of this manual. For current combined sales and use tax rates and necessary forms, visit the State of Nevada Department of Taxation at https://tax.nv.gov/forms/use_tax_forms/. Generally, a retailer pays sales tax, whereas a contractor pays a use tax. Sales and use taxes are related and create a complementary tax system. The sales tax is imposed on all retailers for the privilege of engaging in the sale of tangible personal property in Nevada. This tax is typically collected from the consumer but remittance by the retailer, and taxpayers filing use tax returns in this state are required to report the price of property purchased for storage, use, or other consumption in Nevada in the county where storage, consumption, or first use takes place. Any single transaction will be subject to either the sales or use tax, but not both. Simply stated, the use tax applies to those transactions on which no sales tax was paid. Sales tax and use tax obligations. Taxpayers filing sales tax returns in Nevada are required by law to report sales in the county where delivery to the purchaser, an agent, or designee takes place. The contractor is required to pay the use tax when supplies and materials are purchased from suppliers to be used in the construction, repair, or alteration of any real property. If materials and supplies are purchased by the contractor from another state that does not charge the Nevada sales tax for use in Nevada, the contractor will be required to pay the use tax at the prevailing county tax rate directly to the Department of Taxation. A distinction is required with respect to a contractor holding a consumer use tax permit. Raw materials purchased to fulfill a contract and used in the fabrication of the finished product at the contractor's place of business are subject to tax at the county rate in which the place of business is located, regardless of where the finished product is installed. Any materials purchased by a contractor that are shipped directly to a job site are subject to tax at the county rate in which the job site is located. There is a credit against the use tax for sales or use taxes paid to another state, up to the amount due to the state of Nevada, provided that those taxes were properly paid to the other state. The sales and use tax laws can be complicated because of the variety of circumstances under which materials and supplies are bought and used. The Department of Taxation can advise on issues that are questionable. For information, contact Nevada Department of Taxation, 1515 East College Parkway, Suite 115, Carson City, Nevada, 89706. Phone numbers include Carson City, 775-687-2000, or Las Vegas, 702-486-2300, or Reno, 775-688-1295. https://tax.nevada.gov/penalties. The Department of Taxation can identify those who owe use tax by various methods. These include routine audits, special audits, self-assessment programs, complaints, reports, investigations, and by obtaining lists of out-of-state purchases through the cooperation of vendors and taxing authorities in other states. If the use tax is not paid, the department may issue an assessment for use tax liability. A penalty and interest charges may be imposed at the rate of 10% and 1% per month or fraction thereof for interest in addition to the tax. If there is evidence of intent to evade payment of the tax, a 25% penalty can also be assessed. Unemployment contributions by employers. A business must register with the Employment Security Division and pay unemployment taxes if the business has paid wages for employment in Nevada of $225 or more during any calendar quarter, or is subject to the Federal Unemployment Tax Act (FUTA) and has at least one employee in the state during the current or preceding calendar year. Employers are taxed on wages paid to each employee up to the taxable wage base in effect during the calendar year. The tax base is calculated annually and is equal to 66 2/3% of the average annual wage for Nevada employees. Employers liable under Nevada Employment Insurance Tax are required to pay unemployment taxes on the state taxable wage base, which is $30,500 for 2018. http://ui.nv.gov/ESSHTML/UI_information.htm. Refunds and adjustments. When a payment of contributions has been erroneously collected, an employer can apply for a refund and adjustment, provided it no later than 3 years after the date on which such payments became due. Assessments. Excuse me. An assessment can be levied provided written notice is given to the employer containing the amount of the assessment. The notice will also state conditions for readjustment. The assessment becomes final with the contribution becoming due and payable 15 days after the date the notice was mailed. An employer who fails to file a report or files an incorrect or incomplete report has 7 days to respond after receiving a notice about the error. If the employer fails to respond, an estimate, including interest, will be made based on information available to the administrator. The administrator will send a written notice to the employer when any assessment is levied. This notice will include the amount assessed and information concerning the employer's right to petition, modification, or readjustment. The employer may file a verified petition within 15 days in an attempt to have the assessment readjusted. However, this will require either the execution of a bond or the deposit of funds with the administrator. The petition may request a hearing and specify the objections to the assessment. The administrator may modify the assessment within 1 year from the date a notice of assessment was mailed. Summary of rates for employers. The tax rate for new employers is 2.95%. After several years of doing business, the tax rate will be determined by previous experience with unemployment and can range from 0.25 to 5.4 based on a reserve ratio classification. This is the excess of taxes paid over claims against the account, divided by the average taxable payroll over the previous 3 years. All employers must report new hires and rehires to the Employment Security Division within 20 days of hire or rehire. The complete discussion of rates and how they are arrived at can be found in Nevada Revised Statute, NRS 612.550, Rates for Employers. Subcontractors' payments. Every contractor who contracts with a subcontractor who is an employee or becomes an employer before the completion of the contract shall withhold sufficient money on the contract or require the subcontract to obtain a surety bond that guarantees the payment of all contributions, penalties, and interest that are due for wages paid for employment on the contract. Additional information can be obtained from Administration, Department of Employment, Training, and Rehabilitation, Employment Security Division, 500 East 3rd Street, Carson City, Nevada, 89713-0030, phone number 775-687-4545. So thank you so much for listening here to Chapter 12 of the Construction Business and Law Manual for Nevada Tax Laws. Please stay tuned for Chapter 13.